How surprised were you on a scale of 1 to 10 that when you looked down and you were like, it's the beginning of May, Bryce is already back?
It depends on like when you're asking. I guess like in March, it would have been a 10. 2 or 3 weeks ago, it would have been probably a 5 because it became clear that he had this in his mind, he had this goal, and the Phillies were going to let him pursue it as long as his body responded well, and his body kept responding well. They essentially brought spring training to Bryce. I mean, they got minor league pitchers to come to Citizens Bank Park. They even came on the road with the Phillies to throw live at bats to Bryce. He didn't do any rehab games. He's back. And of course, he goes 0 for 4 with 3 Ks in his first game and then reaches base 5 times in the second game after he's like, well, my timing is just a little off. Well, he reaches base 5 times, which, by the way, he only did that twice all of last season. So it took him 1 game to get his timing back.
Hey, I want to get back to Bryce Harper real quick and the arm guard gate, we're going to call it right now. So, there was a big problem if fans don't know. Umpires wouldn't give him extra time to put the arm guard on. You think they should make an exception or something like that for him?
I don't know, Todd. I mean, like, I understand the league stance. They're like, well, once we make an exception for one guy and one obviously very high profile guy, we're going to have to start making exceptions for everyone. And I get that. I also think there should be like an element of common sense here, right? I mean, like if he needs a few extra seconds to get that arm brace on, like just give him a few extra seconds. Like it's crazy. I mean, like he's going to get a huge ovation tonight, right, at Citizens Bank Park. And like they don't want to have Cody Bellinger situation. So the Phillies had to reach out to the league and say, look, hey, this is, can we get approval, for Bryce to step out, acknowledge the crowd, and not get called an auto strike. And yeah, the league's going to give him the approval, but like, I don't know, do we need that? Like, can we have umpires, they know the game, they're following the game just like we are. They know the players, they know the situations. Can't we just let the umpires use a little common sense here? And in the situation like with the arm guard or with the crowd, like, I don't know. I just feel like there is this pretty simple solution here, and it's common sense.
Hey, do you think Bryce Harper ends up playing the field here shortly? Get the fans even more fired up?
I think it's going to be a little while, Todd. I mean, the one thing that they don't want to rush in this recovery process is the throwing program, right? They felt like they could push him hitting. He hit with a torn ligament all of last year. Because he's a right-handed thrower and a left-handed hitter, there was conceivably less strain on the right elbow while he's swinging. And he's also wearing that brace he wore last year at the plate that prevents him from sort of hyperextending that elbow when he swings. The throwing program, though, I mean, that's something you can't rush that. I mean, like that's literally, he has a new elbow, it's reconstructed, and that over the top motion with the elbow, the throwing motion, is what puts the most strain on it. And so, he's going to keep doing his drills at first base before games. And I do think first base is realistic for him. Now, whether it's sometime in July, sometime in August, like I think that's kind of like what they're looking at right now. It's going to be a while, right? I mean, he beat every timeline to get back as a hitter. And so even if he gets back as a position player in the field, at 8 months after surgery, say, it's still incredible. So I think you're looking at a period of months here where he's probably the DH, at least 2 months, maybe. And then we'll see what happens then. He is throwing though. I mean, he has started his throwing program, and he's I think he's out to like 60 feet maybe. Throwing like every other day. So he's getting there.
Citizens Bank's really small, so he doesn't need to throw it that far. He could get out sooner. He picks it up from the wall and just 90 feet. He's ready to go. So
hey,
Matt Gelb said it here first. He's going to be back out in the field super fast. Love that.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate so small that I saw you hit a bunch of home runs there. I mean, that was
yeah, that's my guy. See, I'm telling you,
we'll give it back to you.
There it is. Hey, when he does come back, whether it's this year or not, in the outfield, what is that outlook looking like for the Phillies? Is it a Bryce Harper to first base? Has Alec Boehm done enough? Has Edmundo Sosa done enough at third base? What do you see as the outlook of that, or what are you hearing as the outlook of it?
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing, Eric, is that Bryce doing first base right now, I think he's thinking ahead, right? And it's not just about this season. It's not maybe even about next season. It's like he knows that he's probably going to end up at first base at some point in his career. Like I think everyone kind of knew that going in. And look, there's still like 7 or 8 years left on his contract, right? So the DH spot will always be there for him if he needs it. But I think he's athletic enough to handle first base. So I think he looks at it and says, okay, I have this downtime right now. let me try to learn this position with Bobby Dickerson, one of the best infield coaches in the game. Let me focus my energy and my attention on it. And that just gives us options. It gives us options maybe later this year. It gives us options for 2024. And Rhys Hoskins is coming off the ACL. He's going to be a free agent. You have Castellanos in right, you have Schwarber in left. Maybe you want Schwarber to become a full-time DH next year because, he is definitely not moving around like he used to. And then maybe that means that Bryce Harper is playing first base for you next year and Alec Bowman's staying at third. I don't know. It just gives them different options. If Bryce feels like he can play first base, maybe Rhys Hoskins comes back and he's splitting time at first base and DH with Bryce Harper. I don't know. I mean, it gives them a lot of different options if Bryce can play there first beyond 2023. And I think that's why he's been thinking about this.